Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook process video, and thank you for joining me again today. Today I am following one of the sketches. Well, it's kind of a sketch. This is from the Allison Davis pattern paper play class, and I am following, let me make sure I say this correctly. This is week number 2, one page sketch number 2, simplified version number 1. I think I got that right, surprisingly. To me, if you've taken the class, then you know what I'm talking about here, but it had basically squares around the layout, and each of the squares had like crosses on them, and I immediately thought presents. So I decided I was going to go ahead and make mine into presents, so I pulled out this birthday collection. I'm going to start a little bit before I get more into talking about the layout. I originally was I knew I wanted to mat my entire layout because I knew that, yeah, there was going to be the squares, but I kind of wanted to use up a little more of this collection. And I also wanted a little more interest. I love matting my layouts. So first mistake number 1, I didn't figure out what color before I decided to go ahead and gut one of the papers. So I'll get back to that in just a second. One little trick I want to tell you really quick is when I'm matting one of my layouts, my favorite tip and trick, I've been doing this forever, is to take score tape and place it along all 4 sides of the layout. And then when I go to glue it down on the background paper, I will only undo one of the strips, then make sure I get it straight, and then I go ahead and glue the other strips down. So here you will see, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim off this, and I will kind of re-say that as we go through it a little bit, just really quickly. And then I will talk about not choosing the right background color, as you can obviously see here. So here I have my score tape strips down. I'm just going to pull the backing off of one, hold that one up while I line up the other 3 sides. And then once I have it where I want it, I will push down the adhesive onto the background, and then I will just pull up the other 3. And it's super simple and easy, and I get it straighter than I ever would trying to do it with adhesive showing on all 3 sides. So that's a little trick for you guys. My other mistake, you might have seen in the beginning, I gutted the pink pattern paper, which I thought was going to be the background matte paper, but so I suggest making sure you guys know which one you want to use, because I cut out the middle. I do end up using the middle, so that works. I used it for one of the squares. However, I didn't gut the middle of the blue teal paper, and I wished I'm going to use it for one of the squares as well, but I'm going to have to cut into a brand new piece of paper. So it does help to have a little bit of a plan in place before you get started. But with that being said, I am going to go ahead and just move forward with this layout. And this layout is going to give me a run for my money. Like, I struggled with this pattern paper play class. I enjoyed it. One, I did it together with a good friend of mine, so that made it funner, obviously. Making decisions and all that stuff, kind of talking through with a friend of mine, made this class a lot of fun. But what I also liked about it is that it broke me out of my comfort zone big time. There was a lot of things, a lot of layouts that I would have never done had I not taken this class and made it a goal to do and we've done every week. This is my last week. I did not record the first, I think I've only recorded the process maybe for 2 or 3, I'm not sure. Because, again, dealing with the surgery and all this stuff, life was busy at the time. I don't even know if I'd restarted my channel at that point. But either way, I really, really loved breaking out of my comfort zone, but this class was hard. This layout, I thought I had the greatest idea, and it's going to give me, it's going to be a struggle. And I think That's not really because of the class, because I had a great idea, but it's because of the papers that I had. So I should have probably just maybe, I do pull out a green Bella Bestie. Well, it's kind of a Bella Bestie. It's from an old 6x8 pad. You'll see that here in a minute. Um, just to pull in more color. But you can see here, I have two pinks and one teal as a solid in this collection. And the rest of them, I was trying to pull pattern papers. I was trying to basically only use stuff from this collection. I don't really know why I had that. It's just kind of how my brain works. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I work best in collections. And I just really struggled. I think I can honestly say that I am not sure I 100% love the final layout, which we will talk more towards the end of the video. But the other thing, I think I was trying to stick too close to the sketch as far as where the photos went. Um, these were perfect photos. These are photos of my daughter's 19th birthday, kind of a part of it anyway. And there was somebody in the pictures who was an ex-boyfriend of hers, which I didn't think she would want in there. So I did trim him. I cropped him out, yes. Even though it was part of her life, he was easy to crop out, which is why there's only the two little pictures of my son, my two sons, her brothers up above. So I tried to stick really closely to the sketch. And the other thing, oh, and if you're curious to know, my squares are a little over 3.5 big. So I wanted definite a white border around all of them, just like the sketch has. But anyways, in case you're wondering the size. So I am going to do the whole present idea. Um, that's another thing I guess we'll talk about here in just a minute. But my biggest issue when it comes down to it, I think, is that black and white piece of pattern paper there. Because there are so many colors and different pattern papers, I kind of struggled with what pattern to put in the middle. And I originally thought because I am going to do journaling in black and white that that would pull it in. I have yet to do my journaling. Um, I'm just, I like to like collect a bunch of layouts and do all my journaling at once just to kind of save paper and just makes it easier, you know, because I like to type my journaling. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing these down. I also had a yellow tone on tone pattern paper that I've already mounted the large photo you can see kind of on the left hand side of the screen. I thought that that kind of helped that stand out. There's a little bit of yellow in her dress that she's wearing. So I think that didn't help too, is because that was my other solid pattern and it's just kind of there tucked behind the photo. So, oh, for a minute there. Okay, I thought the photo was already mounted down on that yellow. Sorry. Was looking down at the layout and then I looked up and saw the yellow. Uh, anyways, because you can kind of see here that there's four solid tone on tones and there's four patterns. So it's really hard to make them kind of mix them up on a grid like this to make them look normal. You know, again, trying to follow the sketch. And I am going to go ahead. This is the other thing I'm wondering if it kind of bugs me about this layout is I did want this layout or this photo to stand out because this is her. If you guys have been watching me, you've seen me, you know, scrapbook photos of my kids holding up whatever their age is. It's a really fun tradition, by the way, if you know anyone having a baby or if you want to start that tradition. For each of their birthdays, they hold up the number of fingers of what age they are. And then also you can tell that my foam tape and gluing it down, I glued it down completely straight, had to redo it. But I wanted this photo to stand out because instead of just having her hold up her fingers this year, we ended up taking this really cute photo and where I held up 10 of my fingers and she held up the other 9 of hers. And it was fun. And we don't have another photo like that. So I think that that photo a little bit bugs me down there. because I didn't cut it small enough so that you could see the yellow mat. So that's another thing that I kind of should have maybe thought about a little more. To be completely honest with you, I think I was ready just to be done with this class, and I just wanted to get this layout done. Shh, don't tell anybody I said that though, okay? But one thing I do when I'm struggling with a certain element on a layout, and I've mentioned this before as well, I will move on to a different section of the layout. Or, if it's the title, I'll move on to the title. If I'm struggling with a cluster, I'll move on to something else. If it's the colors, I'll move on to something else, and so on and so forth. So I do have that one main photo down. Oh, and that's what I don't know if I finished saying what I was going to say, but it's the only thing I mounted on foam tape. And I don't know why I didn't mount any other pictures or anything on foam tape. I think it might have to do with the way these ribbons are going and the way they ended up on the layout. The word celebrate is on there. It is chipboard, so it's raised a little bit, but still, I wonder if that's part of what's bugging me. I'm not really sure. But on to the ribbons, which they aren't ribbons on the sketch. They are not depicted as presents. Like I said, that was just an idea that I had. Oh, by the way, here's that 6x8 Bella Bestie. It's actually Oh My Stars. It's an old pattern paper, but on one side it has white stars on green pattern paper, and on the other side it has just solid green. And I don't get rid of their like great B-sides because they make great Bella Besties. As you guys know, I've been talking about that a lot on my channel. So I originally cut down I'm going to call them ribbon strips. They're paper, but I'm going to call them ribbons because, again, I want these to look like presents. I originally cut them thin, and then I came across that blue strip because I wanted to go different. I wanted to pull the same dark pink, the same yellow, um, same light pink, but I wanted it to not be the same pattern paper as what I was using. So that ribbon, the blue teal ribbon strip down that's down right now, it was on the border sticker sheet, and I kind of thought it was just a little bit unique. Um, and it was thicker though. To get it that size, it was thicker, so I ended up cutting all my ribbons to a thicker size. And I wasn't sure if I liked the way they looked, the ribbons were looking. So again, I'm going to move on to die cutting. I went through my bow dies, and I have this one. It was actually a freebie from scrapbook.com one time. It's an Echo Park like bow die, and you can cut multiple layers and kind of make them built up to look like, one of those messy bows that you see on top of a lot of presents. I only did 2 layers of mine. And then I'm going to decide that I just can't, the ribbons are too thick. So I wanted to go a little bit smaller with them. So here I am cutting a little bit smaller strips. I did use that same border strip, and I just trimmed it down really closely on the edges. All these ribbons are not the same width at this point. I was trying to keep them the same width, but then I thought I'm not even going to worry about that. What I did decide with the bows, oh, I'll come to the bows here in just a minute. The other thing I thought about was if I'm going to have the ribbons, because I don't remember if on the sketch or not, it has the extra like stitching lines, or if I just decided to pull out my peel-offs. I am going to add peel-offs to the ribbons though to make them look a little bit more ribbony, I guess. I don't know. Plus, it was also just a way to play. So I am going to I found a color of peel off for each ribbon. Some of them, as you can see here, I'm just putting them down. This one, I'm going to put down the middle of the ribbon piece. So I glue the ribbon piece down and then put the peel off on, and then I go in the other direction and put that peel off piece. There are a couple that I glue both ribbon pieces down before I think to do the peel offs, but that's okay. For the peel offs on each one, I don't care. I didn't like try to find all sparkly or all holographic. I just went for colors that would match. And on the yellow ribbons, I put the peel off in the middle, like I had mentioned. And for like the blue one, because there was the pattern, I didn't want to like cover the pattern. So I'm going to put the peel off along the side. Still has the same effect. And I kind of like that it's actually not all the same. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue down each one of the ribbons. I do decide to, I had thought maybe tone on tone, but it was kind of hard to do just with only being a few solids. Um, and I wanted to, again, the sketch had multiple boxes with that whole cross design on the sketch. So I was really, again, trying to break out of my box, not just do the normal number three, which again, I think could be part of the reason maybe this layout just doesn't seem right in the end. Um, I'm going to go see, you can see here that I did accidentally glue down the pink before putting down the peel off, but luckily peel offs are so, when you put peel offs down, like you can hardly see where they start and stop, if that makes sense. They are so easy to line up against, butt up against paper that it's really okay. Um, so I just went ahead and made it work and trimmed it down to work in that, even though I glued those down. But we'll come back to the whole I've glued those down here in a minute. So I did, like I said, meant bring out that green. I thought maybe adding the green would also help everything stand out here on this middle box. The green strip is a lot thinner than the other ones. Now looking at the layout, I don't think I noticed that before. And the peel off I did put down actually on the background paper and not on the strip itself, just in case you were wondering about that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. And then I'm going to come back to the bows. This bow die, and I will link this bow die below, I love. It turned out to look so cute on these presents. And I honestly think that maybe if I had left it kind of the way it is now, it would look okay. Um, we'll have to come back to that in a minute, I guess, either, because I did decide to try different bow colors on different ribbon boxes, but I just decided the more color with the color, like the green bow with the green ribbon looked better, and the yellow with the yellow ribbon looked better as well. The other thing I did was I also cut out like a holographic, very, very, very subtle. You can see it in the close-up shots in the end, but very subtle, like a specialty paper. And it's, again, just like this holographic. I've had it forever. I don't even know who made it. It was just a scrap. But I cut some of those out so you can see that there's two layers for each bow. There's one, the solid color, and then there's one like a white, looks like white to me in my screen, so I'll just call it that. Um, and I really like that. That also helps the shimmery shiness from all of the peel offs to stand out. And the other thing I did with the bows was I decided to go ahead, and a lot of times you guys probably know that if I add die cuts to my layouts, I like to give them 3 layers of white cardstock underneath to help give them a little bit of dimension and interest. And I knew if I tried to add 3 layers to each one of them, stacking them on top of each other, that it was going to be too much. So I just cut 1 extra layer of cardstock and added it to behind each, the white holographic paper and the solid papers. And that gave it a little enough dimension. It gives it not as tall as the picture is right now on the foam tape, but it gives it a good amount of dimension. So you can see the other thing, which I'm wondering if that's why it kind of just doesn't flow with me, is I did decide to move the ribbon. When I put the picture down in the box on the very bottom right, it just was not looking right. The ribbons got totally, almost completely covered up. So I am going to change my mind on that one, and you can see that I've moved them. I just don't think that I like that. It does actually come together. That part kind of comes together okay in the end, because once the bow goes on, and so since I also did that on this bottom box, I wanted to mimic that in the top box, where the other pictures are. So I think that part might be throwing me off just a hair because I didn't do it on any of the other ribbons. Um, but I haven't glued them down. I don't think I've glued them down at this point, the bows anyway. So again, I'm going to move on to something else. And I was just seeing what kind of like embellishments I might want to add in case before I did glue anything down. And I will tell you right away, there's not much embellishing. That's one of the things I think that has also been really different with this class is that your pattern papers are so busy. Your pages are just so busy from all the pattern papers that trying to embellish is just kind of, you just can't add too much embellishments without making it look totally busy. Um, so that's where I'm kind of struggling here as well. But I really wanted to try to use some of the ephemera in this collection since I am down to just pretty much scraps. Um, again, that's why I'm trying those balloons. I really actually liked the balloons there, but they were just a little too big and stood out a little too much. I really wanted to use this cupcake because to me it kind of looks like it could be the ice cream. My daughter chose ice cream and frozen yogurt for her birthday. And so I really kind of wanted to use that with the candle in there, but it just wouldn't work out. It was like the only thing that would have been on that layout on there that wasn't a bow or like, the present vibe. I did, however, I knew that I liked that word celebrate because I thought that it brought out the yellows. It brought the yellows from behind the photo and the bows and ribbons up top in that present. And it was a good title. So I did know that I wanted to do that. And I'm playing with word stickers. I do like the word stickers. I am going to add fun times and many more on the left-hand side. I'm going to add hooray underneath the top photos on the top right. And then the words happy birthday over on the bottom right here. I did kind of I think I cut one of the words. Oh no, I think I was going to, but it just didn't work out. So I do go ahead and add all those word stickers around. And then here's where I decided it just didn't look right. At this point, I think I lost some footage because of all the gluing down of the ribbons. I have glued down the ribbons and I did also add in, there was these little heart stickers. Those are going to move around a little bit. Even though I've glued them down with wet glue, I still managed to pull them up and move them around a few times, surprisingly. I did change the color of each heart sticker to go against the color of the ribbons. And then I decided that maybe I should try adding another present, another bow, another ribbon down here on this box. That maybe it was like the only one box with nothing in it, and it just wasn't looking right. So the only color I had really left to use was the light pink. So luckily I still had that. I didn't have the teal to use because that's behind, which is what I really wanted to use, but it's already behind the picture on the very right bottom. So I decided to go ahead and just do the pink. Worked for me. I had a peel off that matched. Looks really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those ones out. And again, I'm just going to add one cardstock layer behind each one. Man, I tell you what though, I had to pull my cardstock out of that die. They did not want to come out. I actually ripped one just trying to pull it out. So I'm going to add a bow here. And I really like that bow die. I don't think it's one that I would have bought if it had not been free, but oh my gosh, you can just layer it up and you can just keep on adding layers and it does make the perfect present bow. It's really, really cute die, guys. So, and I did think about kind of just keeping them all straight kind of together, but that wouldn't have, where you couldn't see much of the other one, but I decided to just go all wonky. And you can kind of see where the teal one in the bottom right is different looking than the one up in the yellow as far as the bow goes. So, I mean, the mini layers, you can flip the layers over. It's actually a new favorite of mine. So the other thing, and I'm still working on this layout thinking, I'm just not feeling this. The other thing I decided to try was I cut the number 19 out of two different, the teal and the pink, and I decided to go with the teal. The pink just didn't stand out enough. Um, so I think that is pretty much it. I'm going to add 3 of the cardstock layers behind the number 19. I've been trying to add the numbers onto the layouts with the pictures of them holding up their fingers. I didn't always used to do that. But this is my layout, and I would love to know, I'm still not that crazy about it. I would love to know what you guys do with layouts you're not crazy about. And I will tell you really quickly that in the still shot photos, you're going to see I did even try to change around the presents along the bottom, the pattern paper, and I don't know. I just would love to know what you guys do in the situation where you are just not 100% crazy about the way a layout turned out. Let me know below. Either way, I hope you guys like this layout, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next scrappy process video or collection cleanup video. All right, guys, have a great day, everyone. See you later. Bye.